Beach in those days was a small enclave consisting of maybe the 2 square miles downtown. Old Town Huntington Beach.
You didn't have to worry about all the things that you have to worry about nowadays for your kids. Back then, we all looked out for each other, but, you know, it was never really a concern until this happened with Robin.
Huntington Beach today, a memorial for a girl kidnapped and murdered by a serial.
Tonight at 10, Sir Keir Starmer insists he won't quit after Labour suffers some of its worst election results in recent times. As Reform UK wins more than 1,400 council seats in England, the Prime Minister vows to stay in office.
I'm not going to walk away and plunge the country into chaos. We were elected to deal with these challenges, and that's what we will do.
Overall, what's happened is a truly historic shift in British politics.
In Wales, the First Minister fails to win her seat as Labour loses control of the Senedd for the first time. Plaid Cymru is now the largest party. In Scotland, the SNP is on course to win a 5th consecutive election, though it will fall short of a majority. We'll have all the latest from Clive Myrie in Cardiff and James Cook in Edinburgh. And there's jubilation for the Green Party after it makes record gains, including its first ever elected mayors.
From Broadcasting House across the UK and around the globe, Newsnight brings you fresh insights and interviews, and a first look at the front pages.
Hello, good evening. The Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has insisted he won't quit after Labour suffered some of its worst election results in recent times. The party lost more than 1,300 council seats in England and control of the Senedd in Wales for the first time since devolution nearly 30 years ago. In England, the big winner was Reform UK. It took more than 1,400 council seats, with party leader Nigel Farage saying the results had blown apart the old ideas of left and right. In Wales, Plaid Cymru is now the biggest party, although just short of a majority, and the Labour First Minister, Eluned Morgan, lost her seat. In Scotland, the SNP remains the largest party, although its share of the vote went down in nearly every constituency. We'll be live in Wales and in Scotland shortly, and throughout the programme there's a live tracker of the results in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. First tonight, let's go to our political editor, Chris Mason at Westminster. Chris.
What a day. Fragmentation, volatility, multi-party politics, records tumbling. And tonight, here at Westminster, the Labour Party, the government, soul-searching, asking itself deep questions about how it became so unpopular so quickly and what to do about it on a day of drama and stories wherever you chose to look. Eluned Morgan was Wales's First Minister this morning. Tonight, she doesn't even have a seat in the Senedd, the Welsh Parliament.
Is Labour over in Wales?
Labour have won every Welsh election since before Sir David Attenborough was even born. but not this one.
Whilst Labour has today suffered a catastrophic result, it ends a century of Labour winning in Wales, and the party will need to take a really hard look at itself.
Welsh politics has been turned upside down. Here is the man expected to be Wales' next First Minister.
Plaid Cymru now stands ready to take the necessary steps to form the next government of Wales. This is a moment 100 years in the making, a moment in which we hold the promise and ambition of a nation in our hands.
Sef un, seat 1, Dan Thomas, Reform UK Wales.
Yay! Reform have also done well in Wales, easily beating Labour. In Scotland, another win for the Scottish National Party, a 5th consecutive term.
I will simply do all that I possibly can do to make Scotland a successful country and to improve the lives of the people of our country, and I look forward to doing that in the next Scottish parliamentary term. Thank you very much.
Labour losing here as well then, a recurring pattern today. Just look at their body language. Glum, defensive, rejected. Speaking before the flurry of results this afternoon, here is the Prime Minister's take.
These are really tough results. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The voters have sent a message about the pace of change, how they want their lives improved. They was elected to meet those challenges, and I'm not going to walk away from those challenges and plunge the country into chaos.
Some of Reform's wins are huge. Gains in Basildon, victory in Essex, a hug in Havering. And they won in Barnsley, Wakefield and Sunderland, councils run by Labour since the 1970s.
Sunderland. I mean, Labour used to weigh the votes. We've absolutely walked it. We're majority control in Sunderland. We're majority control in Gateshead. We're majority control in South Tyneside. And in areas like Hartlepool, where only 12 seats were up, guess how many we won? 12.
There were lots of cheering, even jumping Greens this evening too. They won Hastings in East Sussex, the London Borough of Waltham Forest, the Mayoralty in Lewisham in South London, and
Zoe Garbett is duly elected as the Mayor of Hackney.
Here in East London, they won the council and the mayor's job.
This is a historic victory. This is the first time the Green Party have ever won a directly elected mayor. And two-party politics is not just dying, it is dead and it is buried. And actually, whether it's here that Labour have been rejected or whether we're seeing around the country, it's very clear that the new politics is the Green Party versus Reform.
The Conservatives, so often leading actors in the story of British politics, feel like little more than an extra today. They've gone backwards, but
Good morning, Westminster. How are we feeling?
They did regain Westminster Council.
I'm very proud of how we have done. I'm not saying that we're there yet. I'm not saying that the results are perfect. There are loads of councillors, Conservative councillors, who would have lost their seats, but they can see that our strategy is working. Good strategy takes time. It doesn't all happen overnight.
For the Liberal Democrats, modest gains and unorthodox dance moves. They lost control in Hull, gained control in Stockport and West Surrey, and won in Portsmouth.
It's a fantastic result here in Portsmouth. The Reform threw everything at it, but we won. We've taken control of this council, and we've shown across the country that it's the Liberal Democrats who can hold off and beat Reform.
What then of the government's direction and the Prime Minister's future? This Labour MP used to be in Keir Starmer's cabinet. This afternoon she said he should stay for now.
The Prime Minister is doing an absolutely exceptional job on the international stage, and it's incredibly important that he's successful in that role because our constituents' livelihoods depend upon it. But the message has been clear from the public that unless the government delivers significant and urgent change, it's clear that the Prime Minister cannot lead us into another election.
A smattering of other Labour MPs are saying similar things. Let's see if it's a call that becomes contagious. The Prime Minister tonight is winded, Labour wounded, but Sir Keir Starmer's allies insist he is staying put here. Chris Mason, BBC News.
Well, let's hear more about those historic results in Wales. Let's head to Clive in Cardiff. Clive.
Yeah, hi to you, Jane. Hello from Cardiff Bay, where the sun has long set, not just over the Senedd, but on the supremacy of a Labour Party that has for a decade and for decade and for decade come to define what politics actually means for the people of Wales. Now it's the Independence Party, Plaid Cymru, having won the most seats in the national elections, that will lead the political conversation in the Parliament just over there for the next 4 years. What we witnessed here today was nothing less than a political earthquake. The old order of Labour and the Conservatives swept away by Plaid and Reform UK. And to make a dreadful day worse for Labour, their leader, First Minister Eluned Morgan, lost her own seat and resigned as head of the party. Well, 96 seats were up for election, with 49 needed for an outright majority, and these are the results, with Plaid coming out comfortably on top with 43 seats. Reform, after a remarkable campaign, on 34. Labour annihilated on just 9. The Conservatives in fourth with 7. The Greens gaining their first ever seats in the Senedd on 2, and the Liberal Democrats with 1. Well, Howell Griffith reports now on a day of the highest political drama here in Wales.
On a redrawn political map, a new landscape is emerging, one where no corner of Wales can be considered Labour territory. Not even the First Minister's constituency, Eluned Morgan out of the Senedd with nowhere to turn, apart from resigning as Welsh leader.
It is clear that results across the whole of the United Kingdom have demonstrated deep frustration with the Labour Party. We need to go back to being the party of the working class. We need the Labour government nationally to change course.
Enter the man poised to take her place after a campaign focused on health and the cost of living, rather than Plaid's ambition of independence.
Our nation deserves a government that will work with relentless determination to deliver on the things that matter most to you. We now focus on that task, and we do this for Wales. Dros Gymru. Diolch yn fawr.
Plaid cast this election as a two-horse race between it and Reform. As runner-up, it will now become the official opposition.
For decades, the Welsh valleys and cities such as Islwyn and Newport have been ignored, let down and forgotten by the old parties of Wales. Today, the people have spoken, and now in Reform, they finally have a voice.
It's hard to overstate just how historic these results are. After 27 years in government, over a century of winning every major election in Wales, Labour now finds itself out of power and out of favour with people who would have always voted for the party by default.
I don't think that the people 100% have left Labour, but I think Labour have left the people.
I used to always vote Labour. I haven't the last twice neither.
And this time?
I voted Reform.
While Plaid's popularity was helped by those who rejected Reform.
Well, I wanted to vote for Green, but unfortunately not really a tactical vote at the moment, so I voted for Plaid. I'm not even Welsh, but I do think Plaid will be better for Wales than Reform.
Some believe the era of two-party politics is over. In Wales, it's been reset in new colours. The new expanded Senedd will still host Labour, a handful of Conservatives, a Lib Dem and its first ever Green Party members, after an election which has rocked Welsh politics to its foundations. Howell Griffith, BBC News, Cardiff.
So what will the new Senedd chamber actually look like, and what will it mean for decision-making going forward? Here's Daniel Davies.
politics has changed dramatically in Wales. This is how the Senedd looked before the election. There's a lot of red for Labour on these benches, but it's been swept aside by a surge in support for Plaid Cymru in green. And on the other side of the chamber, something similar has happened, where the light blue of Reform UK has overtaken the Conservatives. So the two traditional parties of government in Britain, the Tories and Labour, relegated to third and fourth. And for Labour in particular, a disaster. They've led Wales since devolution started. In the new Senedd, they'll have just 9 members, and the First Minister, Eluned Morgan, won't be one of them. Now, this is the change in the share of the vote that's delivered Plaid Cymru a historic victory, up 15 points on the last election. Reform UK in second, winning seats in a Senedd election for the first time. Those two parties have led the opinion polls during the campaign, but Plaid Cymru's tally of 43 seats is better than many people would have expected. It's not far off the threshold required for a majority in the Senedd of 49 seats. They haven't quite reached that very high bar, which means that if they are to govern, they will need the support of other parties to win crucial votes on budgets and on legislation. If we add Labour in, for example, that takes them over the threshold. So that's the arithmetic in the new Senedd, with Plaid Cymru poised to form a government for the first time.
Daniel Davies reporting there. We're going to get a final word now from Gareth Lewis, BBC Wales' political editor here. We all knew Labour were going to...
In the 1980s, she's now retired. Who did you vote for yesterday?
Reform.
Why is that?
Because I've tried them all and they all feather their own nest.
Labour said when they won the election that they would make you feel more prosperous.
Yes.
Do you feel more prosperous?
No, I'm worse off.
What makes this especially difficult for Labour is where it's happening, in the political backyard of Angela Rayner and Andy Burnham, two figures seen as future Labour leaders, now surrounded by voters who've turned their backs on the party. Chatting to people, there's a sense of pessimism. There's also a sense that they're not being listened to, that Labour aren't delivering on their promises, and Reform definitely seem to be capitalising on that. Cost of living, immigration, these are the burning issues here. What is Nigel Farage offering you then?
He's going to stop floaters coming across. That's the main one.
Yeah.
We're not racist, is it?
No. Nowhere near racist. It wouldn't bother me who live next door to me. We're nowhere near racist at all.
But you feel that Labour have not got a handle on it and Reform could?
We've got to give them a chance. Yeah. We don't know. You've got to give people a chance.
Can I call you back, Dammy?
Daniel runs an estate agency.
I voted for independent because we needed someone that listens to the people. The council tax has gone up dramatically, not just for businesses, just for local people. Everything seems to be going up, but we don't seem to be seeing any change.
Ashton is being developed, a long-awaited new shopping centre's now being built, and around the corner, several stories up, are the roofers rooting for Reform. Farage, what is it about him?
He's true. He's honest, I think. Straight to the point, he wants what's right for his country.
Truth, honest, straight to the point.
Yeah.
Like a roofer.
Like a roofer.
Nick Martin, Sky News, Ashton-under-Lyne.
Doesn't that just sum up the appeal for a lot of people? The likes of Nigel Farage and perhaps, James, to a lesser extent, Zach Polanski, they can talk straight in a way that the others don't seem to have. They don't have that, I guess, everyday approach to talking to people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the tradition of communication that they hail from is a different one to a lot of Westminster politicians. You know, Nigel Farage has that kind of barnstorming tradition. He did public meetings for 25 years or so before it really sort of cut through in the mid-2010s. I think that is one of his great successes. He speaks fluent human. Polanski comes from quite a different background, much more social media. I think you can arguably call him the sort of first social media poster as a leader. Both work, and I think that they have shown that people want to try something new, but they also want leaders with whom they can have a rapport. And I think social media is a big part of that.
Because, Susie, more recently, people from across all sides have thought Kemi Badenoch has upped her game. She's been doing better at PMQs, and the Conservatives, as I alluded to previously today, were saying the comeback starts here, even though they also suffered some pretty sizable losses today. Is there some truth in that?
Yeah, the national polling and the polling among leaders is very different to what we've seen in some of the local election results.
Yeah.
So, you know, all the narrative we've got about Starmer disaster and the rest of it, if you line up all the national leaders together, Farage does worse than Starmer. If you ask people who you want to be Prime Minister, Starmer is ahead of Nigel. And Badenoch has certainly been improving, but a lot of that is because of her performance at PMQs, because she has changed some of her approach to things. But that's just, you know, that is because it's working well on social media, it's working well on sound bites, it's working well on cut-throughs. There's still not a huge amount of policy coming through, and most people who are voting for reform have got no idea about wider reform policies, because the vast majority of people in this country, they want to protect the NHS, they want to have green energy and power, and they want to have free school meals
But at this
for kids,
point in
that
the
sort of
cycle,
thing.
the vibes are more important.
Exactly. It's all vibes. It's come down to vibes. Badenoch is increasingly confident, and that's coming across. And that's partly why she's doing better, I think. Starmer is increasingly lacking in confidence and under attack, and that is making him seem less vibey. You know, it's just something that people are less interested in. And so I think we're not interested at the moment in the politics, in the policy, in the meat and gristle of this stuff. It's all about the vibes. Whether that changes when we get nearer 2029, hopefully it will do, and we'll actually be talking about more substantive things. But, I mean, for example, some of the stuff today we've seen about what's happening in the Senate in Wales, you know, yes, we've got a nationalist party in charge there for the first time since the 13th century, all right? So that's worth mentioning. But that massive change has happened because of a huge change in the electoral system.
Yes.
You know, you cannot compare the Welsh Senate of today with that of yesterday, because it was elected under an entirely different system, proportional representation.
True. But you just compared him to Owain Glyndŵr, which really is going back centuries. Well, elections are, of course, all about the data, and our data and economics editor, Ed Conway, has been taking a closer look at the numbers for us.
It's a pretty extraordinary set of results. Obviously, you've got a lot of data coming in, a lot of decisions that are going to affect your area, particularly of the country. We'll start with England, looking at, I mean, just take a step back and look at this change in the share of different council seats around the country. Obviously, reform up by an extraordinary rate. And just look at the Labour Party. So Labour down all the way there, 1,355 seats down, only 2 up. And beneath the surface, you can see the changing complexion of England's local councils. And if you take those numbers and you plug them into the various models that we have, working out what this might mean across the country as a whole, the national equivalent vote, as it's known, this is what you get. So this goes back a few years, so you can see the broad picture here. And here's the most striking thing. Look at that turquoise line. So look at reform, up from basically 0, down a little bit from the last time where they were over 30%, but still 27% equivalent vote across the country if you kind of extrapolate these numbers. Whereas, look, the Conservatives up a little bit, but Labour going down, down, down in recent local elections. And the Green Party as well, with that performance, particularly in London, starting to reach up 14%, the same as the Lib Dems there. What happens, though, here's the question, if you work out what that would mean, theoretically, in the House of Commons, if you were to append that, to apply that to the number of seats in the House of Commons. And this is what you get. Look at reform. So going from close to 0 all the way up to 284 MPs, short of an overall majority. But here's the striking thing, too. Look, the Labour Party were previously, well, they are right now, on 400 MPs, just over 400. That would go all the way down to 110. An extraordinary shift from this landslide victory all the way down there. It is, of course, theoretical, but that's the kind of message from these numbers today, this enormous polling exercise, which is what it is, as well as a decision about local authorities. Then you've got Conservatives, Lib Dems, SNP as well. Have a look at this, OK? This is the interesting thing, is what does this mean for the picture of politics in the UK? And the two-party system, this is just totting up the two-party vote for the Labour Party, for the Conservative Party, going back to the 1970s. And look, for most of history, it's accounted for 50% or more of the total vote. But not anymore. And this is what people are talking about when they're talking about the end of two-party politics. The combined vote share of the two big parties, or the legacy parties, perhaps we should call them, down to just 35%. So a real shift there as well. On top of that, of course, we've had news from Wales, the Senedd election here, and disastrous for the Labour Party. Obviously, historically, this was the area, one of the strongholds for the Labour Party, but now not anymore. They're in third place. Reform up by 34 in terms of the number of representatives there, and then Plaid Cymru at the top. So it's Labour down there in third place, then the Conservative Party only shortly after them. But really, again, it's the history here that's really striking. If you look back over the history of the Welsh Parliament since 1999, look at where the Labour Party have typically been in terms of their share of the vote. It's around 40%, 30%, 40%, 30%, 40%. And now 12%. Again, historical stuff, given, if you go back even further than that, this has been seen as a Labour stronghold. And finally, Scotland. So the Parliament elections, Scottish Parliament elections have come through. And on the face of it, a strong performance from the SNP. Share of the vote, 38%. But now look beneath the surface, and what do you see? You see the SNP losing votes, losing popularity. You see the Green Party going up, getting hold of some of those constituency seats. And you see Reform up by 16% and climbing in the Scottish Parliament. You can see that the politics, the picture of politics across the UK has started to change as a result of these elections.
Well, let's look across the UK right now in a bit more detail, especially the situation in Scotland and Wales. In a moment, we'll hear from Conor Gillis, who's in Edinburgh for us this evening. First, let's head to Llandudno, where Dan Whitehead is. And Dan, really this evening, Wales, politically at least, looks completely different to anything that the Welsh have seen before.
Yeah, the political landscape, the map, has been completely redrawn here in Wales. It has been a disastrous day for the Welsh Labour Party. A century of reign here in Wales is over. That final nail in the coffin really was seen by Eleanor Morgan, the former First Minister who lost her seat. And we really saw those results tumble down for Wales in the south of the country, those heartlands of Wales for so many decades. The former mining towns, the valley towns and villages, and the coastal towns along the south, going from red and going towards Plaid and Reform. And it is Plaid Cymru, the Welsh Nationalist Party, which is celebrating tonight. Rhun ap Iorwerth at the count just further along the promenade here in Llandudno earlier today, saying that he will now, with urgency, look to work with other parties as he looks to become the next First Minister. He is tonight on his way to Cardiff. Expect to see celebrations and photo calls from Rhun ap Iorwerth tomorrow. But also a really successful day for Reform UK. They're now the second biggest party in the Welsh Senedd. The politics has all changed here in Wales, but of course you've got to remember the whole system changed as well. The way people voted, the number of politicians, the constituencies. There's now 96 members of the Senedd, and only 9 of them are Labour members. That is an absolutely fundamental shift in politics here in Wales. How and why has this happened? Well, look, Labour has had a very difficult record over recent years. Big issues that we see nationally, like NHS waiting lists, the cost of living, opportunities for young people. But, we spent time in some of those valley communities, and I think identity, not just there, but in places like Ynys Môn, Anglesey here, Welsh identity, and the identity of Welsh people when it comes to those former trades like mining and steel, those jobs going so intrinsically linked to what Labour meant here in Wales. And I think over the years that has ebbed away and away, and people like Nigel Farage and other parties and Plaid Cymru have come in and perhaps capitalised on that disillusionment amongst Labour. So tonight we will see the parties led by Rhun ap Iorwerth potentially try and figure out a form of coalition, because although Plaid Cymru were the biggest party with 43 seats, they didn't hit the magic number of 49, which is a majority. If Plaid work with Labour, they'll get over 50. Maybe that is what will happen. We will see in the coming days. I think perhaps to end here tonight, the former First Minister best described what happened. She, of course, woke up this morning as the leader of the Welsh Labour Party, the First Minister of Wales. She ended tonight with no seat, having to resign, and describing what has happened to Labour as catastrophic.
Dan and Llandudno, thank you very much indeed. Let's head to Connor, who is in Edinburgh, where there already was a nationalist leader, of course, and he remains in the job, Connor, but not quite with the victory, well, so far at least, that John Swinney would have wanted.
Yeah, good evening. 13 and a half hours in, and it feels like we are on the home stretch now. I'll get to the SNP in just a second, but at the moment it is a very, very close eyes on second place here. The race is hotting up. There are 7 seats left to declare here in Scotland, and the current position as of right now is Labour are in second place, Reform are in third, and there are just 2 seats between them. That could become the story of the next 24 hours. And if that happens for Labour, all things considered, after what has been a disaster for the party north and south of the border, then they might see some success in there somewhere. But yes, the big story today clearly is the SNP, the largest party once again. The nationalist dominance continues, entering their 3rd decade in power. It is truly remarkable when you think of where the party has been in recent years, mired in scandal, various leaders over the past couple of years, the general election result where they were absolutely hammered less than 2 years ago, and now we're talking about them being the largest party. Now, they have capitalised big time on a certain proportion of the voters who have had an anti-Westminster sentiment, frustration with Sir Keir Starmer and the way that he is playing his time in 10 Downing Street. The SNP had gone into this election with John Swinney at the helm, hoping for a majority of seats here. They would say that would have been time for them to declare negotiations open, game on, for a second independence referendum. Well, they have fallen short on that, it seems, this time around. So where does it leave the question of the Constitution? Well, that is where the Scottish Greens come into the fold here. They are another pro-independence party here in Scotland, and they have been big winners today as well, making gains in areas that they have never done before. So that will strengthen the pro-independence bloc here in Holyrood that you see behind me, and they will likely be kingmakers in all of this. Just to recap and end tonight on what has been a major moment here in Scottish politics. Labour, yes, have been punished because of the Prime Minister, but Sir Keir Starmer has tonight sent a letter to Scottish Labour members, and in it he says, when Scottish voters send a message like this, it's important to reflect and respond. Many within Scottish Labour will think that the Prime Minister should be taking his own words and heading out the door ASAP. Final word goes to Reform. If they do solidify their place in 3rd spot here in Scotland, let's remember they have come from nothing to clinch that spot. Malcolm Offord, their leader, say they will be the challengers, they will be the scrutineers. They're planning a victory rally here in Scotland along with the SNP tomorrow, but there's been silence so far from Labour.
Connor in Edinburgh for us this evening, and to Dan as well, of course. Thank you both very much indeed. Well, let's have a look now at how this is playing out on the front of tomorrow's papers. Of course, there's really only one story. Well, there may be another story. We'll get on to that. But politically, there really is only one. The Guardian describes Labour's results in the elections as dire and suggests they will pile pressure on Sir Keir Starmer to either make radical change or resign. The Telegraph reports that some Labour MPs and union bosses are now openly saying Sir Keir should go. In the FT, its headlines, Starmer defies MPs' calls to quit as reform deals shattering blow. The Times keeps it to 3 blunt words: Labour's historic battering. If we have a look at the Manchester Evening News, it ponders whether the city's mayor, Andy Burnham, might now be poised for a return to Westminster. A few hurdles to jump over before that can happen, but he still perhaps covets the top job. The Express pictures Reform UK leader Nigel Farage in buoyant mood, and as the paper puts it, vowing to fix Britain. The Eye describes him as plotting a path to number 10, while the Sun largely steers clear of the elections, as I hinted at, leading instead with the separation of TV presenters Vernon Kay and Tess Daly. That news is also the main concern for the Mirror, and it's the big splash for the Star as well. We will have a look inside the papers in a second, but just to bring you that result that I think is on your screen right now, Labour loses to an overall control Haringey Council. As you can see from the numbers there, they thought it might go to Green. Well, it hasn't. No overall control. Very tight there in terms of who would be the bigger party, although you can see how many seats the Greens have put on, 0 to 28 in Haringey. Let's just have a quick word with James about that, actually, because we were discussing this, James, and you think that could...
and the actual sort of like elections, which we are second. And it's really telling how much we've grown without much funding, effort. And that just shows that, you know, we want to be part of the political movement here, because we do have very high taxes. We do have, you know, the roads issue. We do have certain green areas, especially where I live near Richmond, which is absolutely beautiful, which is not actually being cared for the way we want. So it was more than just that. I've never actually gone out and spoken about much of foreign policy, to be honest. I speak about it on different platforms of different things, but when we vote locally, we do vote on local issues. And all of you sitting there saying that, oh, you know, we're going to have a hung parliament and we need to have, you know, Conservatives again with reform. It's just going back to what we actually have failed in the last 14 years. So again, it's a joke, you know, when you're talking about that and talking about Greens being the dangerous one, when actually you're just talking about history repeating itself and having more, you know, Conservatives already that is existing in reform and now going on to it. And when you look at the British voters often use, you know, local elections and by-elections to punish the government. It doesn't mean they're automatically going to predict the next general election like you're all predicting Nigel Farage coming in as well. They cannot manage their councils in the meantime. You know, they can barely last for 6 weeks. So yeah, this is going to be telling for not just the reform, but also for the Greens, because it's not just about the policies, it's about the manifesto and how they're going to do it and how they're actually going to perform automatically in the actual councils themselves.
OK, all right. Well, thank you very much, Fahima, and good luck with everything. Obviously, unfortunately, didn't win, but Fahima Hamid who stood for the Green. All right. OK. Right. When we come back, we are going to be talking about Kemi Badenoch, because you know, the Tories have had some interesting results, haven't they, as well? And you know, I think we need to have a look at whether or not Kemi's going to cling on, because there was the talk before the elections, wasn't there, that both her and Starmer were probably going to have to go when they get the results. So we'll talk about Kemi Badenoch and the Tories when we come back. All right.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
A showery weekend to come for mainland Greece. Meanwhile, blustery in Iberia with spells of rain as an area of low pressure moves in. It's also going to bring brisk winds and a few showers to Madeira, but the most unsettled weather will be through Portugal and Spain. These heavy outbreaks of rain moving through gusty winds. Really quite unpleasant, I think, if you're holidaying there. Italy's reasonable for now, but there will be some heavy showers moving in on Sunday and early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Brings Disney Plus, HBO Max, Netflix and Hulu together for £24 a month. Sky, believe in better.
From big events to intimate dining, choose the award-winning boutique hotel and events venue, the Thomas Paine Hotel. Enjoy delicious food, including dishes using local produce from local farmers. Join us for a premium champagne or cocktail, or a sweet afternoon treat. Whatever you're celebrating, celebrate with us. For your next event, contact the Thomas Paine Hotel, Thetford.
Red Wings have given them a home. Now all they want is a family. Red Wings is one of the largest horse welfare charities in the UK, responsible for 2,000 rescued horses and donkeys. From as little as £2 a month, you can adopt your own horse or donkey. You'll receive a wonderful adoption pack, regular updates on their progress, And as our centres are free to visit, you're always welcome to come and spend time with your new friend. Adopt today at redwings.org.uk.
The bank's written to say our savings rate's gone down again.
I guess we'll just have to tighten our belts.
Or you could try moneyfactscompare.co.uk. It shows you the best savings rates available to you in minutes. It's totally independent, so you can trust what it says. With moneyfactscompare.co.uk, you could be earning hundreds more in interest every year.
The pig's talking again, dear.
Funny old thing.
Don't ignore better savings rates. Visit moneyfactscompare.co.uk today.
At the Kitchen Company, we believe there's no substitute for quality craftsmanship, beautifully considered design and service you can rely on. For over 27 years, we've been creating beautifully made kitchens, bedrooms and home office furniture handcrafted with care in our Somerset factory. Visit our impressive showrooms and explore a huge choice of styles, colours and finishes. The Kitchen Company, Wellington, Somerset, where quality is remembered long after the price is forgotten.
Train, play and stay at The Nest, a high-quality football break in Norfolk. State-of-the-art pitches, first-class facilities and on-site accommodation and catering. Everything you need for the perfect football trip for your team. Training, fixtures and excursions for all ages and all levels. The Nest hosts teams from all around the country and abroad. Play competitive fixtures or mini-tournaments against local sides. Search The Nest Norwich and start planning your team's visit now.
Now, despite big defeats in the South East and the Red Wall, Kemi Badenoch looking on the bright side today.
I said that we were going to rebuild after our worst defeat ever, and we can see those signs of renewal everywhere that we are standing.
Well, it was a decent night for the Tories when it came to winning Westminster and Wandsworth councils back from Labour. They also managed to have a clean sweep in Harlow, securing all 11 local seats that were up for grabs there. So, could there be a way back for the Tories? Christo?
OK, I'm coming out. I am.
Did that long time ago, dear.
I am. I'm a big fan of Kemi. I think she stayed the course. I think that she has put Starmer in his place after a shaky start. But let's not forget, actually, Thatcher had a very, very shaky start for her first couple of years. Is there a way back for them before the next election? I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not sure that it would be right for them to be the next government. I'm not entirely sure I'm sold on that, but I do think there's a way back. I do think there's a way back for them to get more votes. I do think there's a way back for them to perhaps have enough seats that they would perhaps be able to do, as Connie mentioned earlier, a coalition. Now, I realise saying this, do you know last night someone accused me of being a one-nation Tory wet?
Inspiring arts and culture. Watch on iPlayer.
In Discovering the World's Table, we travel the globe, unearthing the history behind our most celebrated dishes. This is like a work of art, meeting the people preserving local ingredients and those adapting traditions for modern tastes.
They call people from here potatoes. Yeah.
Potato people?
Yeah.
Each recipe tells its own unique story, bringing a fresh perspective on our changing world. Join me, Nick Quick, for Discovering the World's Table. Watch on iPlayer.
Talking Movies is your ticket to all things film. From red carpets to the biggest film festivals. Get behind-the-scenes insights into the most talked-about films, speaking directly to the creators and stars shaping the art of cinema. We celebrate the Hollywood hits and indie gems during award season. So join me, Tom Brooke, for your front row seat to the world of film. Talking Movies, watch on BBC iPlayer.
This is frontier country.
Broaden your horizons.
If this is what being a 21st century nomad is all about, sign me up.
Caribbean's relationship with the seas are changing and deepen your understanding.
What must it have been like for them, not knowing whether they were going to make it?
How important is this region?
If something starts changing here, we see the change all over the world.
This is just incredible. The Travel Show. Watch on BBC iPlayer.
The day's most important stories, sent every weekday direct to your inbox. Go to bbc.co.uk/newsdaily and sign up now.
Order, order. Welcome to today's sitting of the Joint Committee on National Security Strategy and our inquiry into the national...
Hantavirus has been identified in Spain and the remote island of Tristan da Cunha. The infection's thought to be linked to the virus-hit luxury cruise ship MV Hondius. It's just the latest instance of cases popping up as international officials race to contact trace for the over 24 cruise ship passengers who disembarked prior to the outbreak. But the WHO cautions that the virus, while deadly, is unlikely to lead to another worldwide epidemic. And if that didn't scare you, how about aliens? The Pentagon has begun...
Welcome back to Fast Money. The U.S. economy added more than twice as many jobs as expected in April. Non-farm payrolls growing by 115,000, but full-time jobs hit the lowest level since December 2024. And the number of Americans working multiple jobs is on the rise.
Your guide to health and happiness.
It draws from our lives, experiences, and creative inspirations. The immortality of ideas resonating through people across centuries. The arts, lifestyle, design, food and drink. This is culture. Euronews Culture. Spark your senses, wake your wonder. Get inspired on euronews.com/culture.
Introducing Euronews Health, your health and well-being digital destination. With healthcare at the centre of our lives, our preoccupations, our future. We decode and demystify health by making facts, policies and updates accessible to understand the future of healthcare in Europe. Well-being is now at your fingertips with Euronews Health, your guide to health and happiness.
Fake and unproven images claim to show Leipzig car attack suspects. A slew of unproven and false pictures and videos have emerged online after a car attack in the German city of Leipzig on Monday. The suspect, named Jeffrey K., according to media reports, drove a car into a crowd, killing 2 people and injuring multiple others. Authorities have released little verified information about the suspect, only confirming that he was a 33-year-old resident of the area and born in Germany, but has not confirmed his identity. They also established that he had previously come to the attention of authorities for behavioral issues and was admitted and treated in a psychiatric hospital. One widely shared image shows the alleged suspect wearing a shirt with the logo Antifa International. The source of the original image cannot be verified, but one of the earliest uploaders of the image is an account that shared what appears to be a genuine photo of the suspect in a boxing club shirt, alongside another image with the Antifa International shirt. When asked, the uploader said the image came from a German-language community platform that posts memes and political content. An account that amplified the image later claimed it was fake, explaining that AI chatbot Grok had wrongly labeled it as authentic at first. At the same time, doctored images of the same photo gained traction online, showing the same man wearing a shirt bearing the Alternative for Germany party logo. Hours after the incident, several videos also circulated on TikTok, claiming to show thousands demonstrating for the AfD. This footage, however, is not current or from Leipzig. It is actually from a demonstration against right-wing extremism in Nuremberg. Despite images of the suspect circulating, authorities have said that so far they do not know if the perpetrator had a political or religious motive.
Well, that's all we could pack in this edition of Fault Lines. Thanks so much for watching.
apparently they have lots and lots and lots and lots. They have to write arts and crafts, colouring, diamond art. Their favourite food is chocolate cake. They should have lots of pets. Goldfish, elephants, tigers, cats and ducks. They should be able to do a Rubik's Cube as fast as me, which is in 1.27 seconds. There can be a magician, so they can magically make me better. They would have to be caring. Strong. Give me the medicine and let me go home. Thank you.
Always buy this, these, those. We've got you. Find personalised offers on the things we know you'll love on the Co-op app. With new offers dropping every week, it's never been easier to save. Download the Co-op app and save when you shop in store and online. Co-op, owned by you, right by you.
Love Q or hate Q? Remember to take a break from Q.
Mr. Q.
We all love a bargain, like these flatmates who switched to Vodafone and are now paying less for their full fibre broadband, which means they can still stream 2 shows at the same time. But for less. Still gaming with mates, but for less. It's easy to switch to reliable full fibre broadband for less. From Vodafone.
The Sharps half-price deals are now on. Get Sharps bespoke fitted furniture for every room, from living spaces to home offices and bedrooms. Many ranges are now half price, including our best-selling Shaker range. Our exclusive Space Plus system means we won't be beaten on space. Plus, you get our 15-year guarantee for total peace of mind. Book your free home design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
You probably think we spend our days watching the world go by.
You're absolutely right.
From city breaks to global escapes, Saga Travel Insurance, designed for people over 50, has you covered. There's no upper age limit, even with pre-existing medical conditions. And you'll only pay for the cancellation cover you actually need. No wonder it's a which best buy. Search Saga Travel Insurance for a quote today.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer. From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
The front lines of Kargil. The fury of Operation Sindoor.
So many attacks.
The chaos and cries of disaster zones. To fighter jet cockpits. And the world's most defining interviews.
It's incredible.
He has seen history break. Live. Unfiltered. 20,000 hours of live broadcasting.
Welcome to Left, Right and Centre.
Hard facts.
War-struck country.
Hard questions.
In the Ukraine.
30 years of trust.
In the Kargil area. North Ukraine. In France, in Italy. At Srinagar. Hi, Mr. Grant. Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Vishnu Shom. Only on NDTV.
Across the country.
He has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. Aditya Raj Kaul, covering international affairs like no one else. Only on NDTV Network.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer. From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies.
The polling we showed, suggests that what voters care most about when it comes to the broader question of health is healthcare costs, right? That is number 1, 2, and 3 for most voters. And Donald Trump has not.
And Moscow fully intends to extend its influence here.
We have a plan, and that plan is very clear. The colonies must be renovated and rebuilt.
Watch Svalbard, Russia's gateway to Europe, on France 24.
Stay up to date with the news by joining the France 24 WhatsApp group. Find out what's going on, anywhere, anytime. Today's news in real time is already available to thousands of subscribers of the France 24 WhatsApp group in English. Around the world, stay in touch with the news on the France 24 WhatsApp group.
Is Africa ready for the coming AI revolution? I'm François Picard. Join us for a special edition of the France 24 debate from the Africa Forward Summit. Amidst a global energy crisis, how are the likes of Kenya scaling up for tomorrow? A great leap forward for the planet's fastest growing continent, or a threat to both livelihoods and citizens? Join us for a special edition from Nairobi at the Africa Forward Summit.
Welcome back to the news and the World Roundup Show. I'm Jean-Emile Jamin. Coming up, tensions continue to flare in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. forces disabled 2 Iranian oil tankers, deepening the already fragile ceasefire crisis. Iran then accuses Washington of a reckless military adventure while both sides trade strikes at sea, disrupting vital global shipping routes. Then Russia and Ukraine agree on a 3-day ceasefire announced by Donald Trump starting Saturday. Along with the prisoner swap, the deal follows Moscow's unilateral truce announcement ahead of the Kremlin's muted World War II celebrations. Volodymyr Zelensky issues a decree ordering no Ukrainian weapons to be fired at Red Square during the parade. And could South African President Cyril Ramaphosa now face impeachment? The country's constitutional court overturns Parliament's decision to block scrutiny, reopening an investigation into the Phala Phala cash scandal. The case centers on some $580,000 allegedly stolen from Ramaphosa's game farm. The president denies wrongdoing, saying that the money came from buffalo sales, as opposition calls for his resignation intensify. Welcome back to the news. Friday saw a sharp escalation in the confrontation between
Iranian state media report hearing shooting and explosions around the Strait of Hormuz in what they called a, quote, limited exchange of fire. Iran's foreign ministry calls Thursday's U.S. strikes a reckless military adventure. U.S. officials continue to watch and wait for a response to the latest U.S. peace proposal. Secretary of State Rubio said he does expect to hear from Iranian leaders soon.
We're expecting a response from them today at some point. We have not received that yet, as you know, in the last hour, but perhaps that will come. Their system is still highly fractured and a bit dysfunctional as well, so that may be serving as an impediment. I hope it's a serious offer. I really do.
Kristen Holmes joins us now from the White House.
So is this more of the same, or is it, in your opinion, a moment?
And deliver the change that people voted for at the last general election, can still show that politics can be a force for good. And here in Redbridge, I'm really proud of the fact that we bucked the national trend. We will come in, votes still counting, but it's very clear now we're going to get a decent majority. We're winning in Ilford North, where we took seats from the Conservatives and beat the leader of the Redbridge Independents, showing that whether it's opponents to our left or opponents to our right, we can still win as Labour. So for all of those naysayers that were saying that I couldn't win Ilford North at the next general election, I will be standing here in Ilford North at the next general election. This is my home. I've served this community for well over a decade. I'm not going anywhere. I'm in it to win it.
Are you ruling out a leadership bid?
The Prime Minister was elected at the last general election on a mandate of change. He delivered a majority that people thought was absolutely impossible after the crushing defeat of 2019. Now, we have seen through the votes cast across England, Scotland and Wales that the government nationally bears a huge amount of responsibility for good Labour candidates losing through no fault of their own. And it is our responsibility to show the voters as a team that we've
which are in so far are projected into a nationwide vote. The UK would end up with a hung parliament, actually, in a general election, with Nigel Farage's Reform as the largest party. Our political editor, Beth Rigby, has been taking a look at the whole thing.
Keir Starmer out early in Ealing in London, here to meet Labour activists and get his message out after presiding over one of Labour's worst ever local election performances.
The results are tough. They are very tough, and there is no sugarcoating this. We have lost brilliant Labour representatives across the country. I take responsibility.
Taking responsibility but not accountability. Did you contemplate this morning that the responsibility is that it's time for you to go and to resign?
Let me be clear, these are really tough results. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Did you contemplate that the problem might be you, that you might need to go to help Labour win these seats back? Did you even contemplate it? Did you acknowledge it as a conversation even?
Look, I think it's absolutely clear that the electorate are fed up with the fact that their lives aren't changing quickly enough. But we haven't done enough to convince people that things can improve, their lives can get better.
To be clear, you are not going to resign?
No, I'm not going to walk away and plunge the country into chaos. We were elected to deal with these challenges, and that's what we will do.
Are you going to stand as Prime Minister at the next general election?
Yes. It was a 5-year term I was elected to do. I intend to see that through.
Starmer determined to stay, but his party being drowned as Reform's turquoise wave crashed over Labour's heartlands in Thameside, St Helens and Barnsley. In Essex, Nigel Farage arriving for a victory lap. Reform have won big across the country. Nigel Farage landing here in Essex for another rally, having started in London, gone up to the north, where he's eaten into Labour's Red Wall, and here in Conservative territory, taking the Council of Essex. Based on these results, Sky News election experts predict that Reform is heading to be the biggest party in a general election, if one were held. Do you see yourself as a Prime Minister in waiting now?
Well, look, you know, what I thought yesterday was about was effectively, in Grand National terms, our Beecher's Brook, a big fence we had to clear. We cleared it very, very well. There's still a lot more to do. I'm not taking anything for granted whatsoever.
You would be short of majority, though. You'd be 42 seats short in the predictions. The obvious question is, would you ever do a deal with the Tories?
It's one of the last things I want to do.
26,865 votes.
Zach Polanski's Green Party also doing serious damage to Labour, winning its first directly elected Green mayor in Hackney for the first time.
This is a historic victory. This is the first time the Green Party have ever won a directly elected mayor. And two-party politics is not just dying, it is dead and it is buried.
The Lib Dems making gains in Portsmouth and Stockport and holding on to Eastleigh and Richmond, sending a message to the Tories.
You have failed as a party. You've failed in government nationally. You've failed in local government across the country.
Taking seats from the Conservatives, who've lost hundreds of councillors, but crumbs of comfort for Kemi Badenoch.
We had lots of great results in Westminster, in Wandsworth, in Broxport, in Harlow, in Basildon. The Conservative Party is coming back.
For Labour, as the day wore on, it went from bad to worse. Labour's Welsh First Minister looked close to tears as her party lost the Senedd after holding power in Wales since the dawn of devolution nearly 3 decades ago. Eleanor Morgan even lost her own seat.
Welsh Labour has today suffered a catastrophic result. It ends a century of Labour winning in Wales, and the party will need to take a really hard look at itself.
And Plaid Cymru's Reen Ap-Iorwerth storming to victory, but without an outright majority. In Scotland, bad news for Labour too, one of their worst results ever. Scottish Labour leader Anas Sarwar called for Starmer to resign in February, and he stuck with that as the results rolled in.
Does he need to take responsibility?
I said what I said back in February, and I stand by that, but I'm going to focus on what this means for my party here in Scotland. And my party is hurting today, and it's my job to hold it together.
Labour had hoped after the 2024 general election to perhaps wrest Holyrood back from the SNP. Instead, the incumbent set to hold the Scottish Parliament for an unprecedented 5th term, but expected to fall just short of a majority. Nigel Farage and Zach Polanski have called these elections historic, and they truly are. What we're seeing is the breakdown of the two-party system that's dominated our politics for a century, as the patchwork of Labour red and Tory blue is painted over with a rainbow of parties holding power across the country. Reform are now a truly national party and the de facto opposition if you look at their spread and their support. And as for Labour, shell shock is the word. Losing Wales, the Red Wall, Red London. Starmer says he'll fight on, and senior figures are starting to come out to back him. But at best it seems that what he's won is a stay of execution. In the coming days, Starmer will mount a fight back to try to persuade his party he can be the change. But the ballot box tells a different story that try as he might, he perhaps can't rewrite. Beth Rigby, Sky News.
Just a few moments ago, as we were starting this hour, the Health Secretary Wes Streeting turned up at the count in the London Borough of Redbridge. He is the local MP there. He's also tipped as a possible contender for the top job should Keir Starmer decide to not carry on. But Mr Streeting made a point of firmly backing his current boss.
Well, there's no doubt that the voters have sent us a clear message in England, Scotland and Wales that the Labour government is not yet delivering the change that people voted for. And we have to take responsibility as the government for the fact that good Labour people across England, Wales and Scotland have lost through no fault of their own. Here in Redbridge, we're showing how Labour can win, not by trying to be someone else, but by being Labour. That's how we've seen off opponents to our left and to our right. That is how we will hold this borough with a majority, and it's also how we've achieved such good results in Ilford North, where we've gained seats from the Conservatives and beaten the leader of the Redbridge Independents. So I'm very proud of this team. I'm very proud of our leader. I'm very proud to be part of the team here. This is how Labour wins, as Labour, as a team. That's what the Prime Minister will be setting out, I'm sure, on Monday, and he'll have my support.
Susie Boniface and James Heal are with me here.
With that, and that could be, a window onto the sort of things that are happening in Westminster in a few years' time, if it does indeed become increasingly difficult for a party to win a majority. Now, it'll be interesting to see the extent to which we now see Reform and Conservative councillors working together. We know that both Nigel Farage and Kemi Badenoch on a more national level have said that they're not interested in doing any pacts. They don't want to be seen to be working together. Reform have very much been trying to cast the Conservatives as being far too similar to Labour and Reform as being the different option. But if they are forced to work with the Conservatives to get things through on these various councils, that may be something that we see. Equally on the left, we may now see Labour and the Greens having to work together more often. We know that there's been no love lost between those two parties in this set of elections. So again, it'll be interesting to see what sort of effect that now has on our politics. It feels like a very different political landscape to a couple of days ago.
Absolutely, Jack Fenwick, live in Westminster. Thank you very much indeed. If you are just joining us, coming in maybe from a meal out or a drink down at the pub, you may have missed what has gone on through the day. Our political editor, Chris Mason, has the story for you.
Ellie Ned Morgan was Wales's First Minister this morning. Tonight, she doesn't even have a seat in the Senedd, the Welsh Parliament.
It's Labour over in Wales.
Labour have won every Welsh election since before Sir David Attenborough was even born. But not this one.
Welsh Labour has today suffered a catastrophic result. It ends a century of Labour winning in Wales, and the party will need to take a really hard look at itself.
Welsh politics has been turned upside down. Here is the man expected to be Wales' next First Minister.
Plaid Cymru now stands ready to take the necessary steps to form the next government of Wales. This is a moment 100 years in the making, a moment in which we hold the promise and ambition of a nation in our hands.
Sef seat 1, Dan Thomas, Reform UK Wales.
Yay! Reform have also done well in Wales, easily beating Labour. In Scotland, another win for the Scottish National Party, a 5th consecutive term.
I will simply do all that I possibly can do to make Scotland a successful country and to improve the lives of the people of our country, and I look forward to doing that in the next Scottish parliamentary term. Thank you very much.
Labour losing here as well then, a recurring pattern today. Just look at their body language. Glum, defensive, Speaking before the flurry of results this afternoon, here is the Prime Minister's take.
These are really tough results. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The voters have sent a message about the pace of change, how they want their lives improved. Labour's elected to meet those challenges, and I'm not going to walk away from those challenges and plunge the country into chaos.
Some of Reform's wins are huge. Gains in Basildon, victory in Essex, a hug in Havering. And they won in Barnsley, Wakefield and Sunderland, councils run by Labour since the 1970s.
Sunderland. I mean, Labour used to weigh the votes. We've absolutely walked it. We're majority control in Sunderland. We're majority control in Gateshead. We're majority control in South Tyneside. And in areas like Hartlepool, where only 12 seats were up, guess how many we won? 12.
There were lots of cheering, even jumping Greens this evening too. They won Hastings in East Sussex, the London Borough of Waltham Forest, the Mayoralty in Lewisham in South London, and
Zoe Garbett is duly elected as the Mayor of Hackney.
Here in East London they won the council and the mayor's job.
This is a historic victory. This is the first time the Green Party have ever won a directly elected mayor. And two-party politics is not just dying, it is dead and it is buried. And actually, whether it's here that Labour have been rejected or whether we're seeing around the country, it's very clear that the new politics is the Green Party versus Reform.
The Conservatives, so often leading actors in the story of British politics, feel like little more than an extra today. They've gone backwards, but
Good morning, Westminster. How are we feeling?
they did regain Westminster Council.
I'm very proud of how we have done. I'm not saying that we're there yet. I'm not saying that the results are perfect. There are loads of councillors, Conservative councillors, who would have lost their seats, but they can see that our strategy is working. Good strategy takes time. It doesn't all happen overnight.
For the Liberal Democrats, modest gains and unorthodox dance moves. They lost control in Hull, gained control in Stockport and West Surrey, and won in Portsmouth.
It's a fantastic result here in Portsmouth. The Reform threw everything at it, but we won. We've taken control of this council, and we've shown across the country that it's the Liberal Democrats who can hold off and beat Reform.
What then of the government's direction and the Prime Minister's future? This Labour MP used to be in Keir Starmer's cabinet. This afternoon she said he should stay for now.
The Prime Minister is doing an absolutely exceptional job on the international stage, and it's incredibly important that he's successful in that role because our constituents' livelihoods depend upon it. But the message has been clear from the public that unless the government delivers significant and urgent change, it's clear that the Prime Minister cannot lead us into another election.
A smattering of other Labour MPs are saying similar things. Let's see if it's a call that becomes contagious. The Prime Minister tonight is winded, Labour wounded, but Sir Keir Starmer's allies insist he is staying put here. Chris Mason, BBC News.
Well, in Wales, Labour suffered an historic collapse, with First Minister Eluned Morgan stepping down as leader of Welsh Labour after losing her seat. Plaid Cymru becomes the largest party in Wales, with 43 seats in the Senedd. That is 6 short of a majority. Leader Rhys Iorwerth said he would reach out to other politicians to form a new Welsh government. Our correspondent Hal Griffiths reports now on a day of the highest political drama in Wales.
On a redrawn political map, a new landscape is emerging. One where no corner of Wales can be considered Labour territory. Not even the First Minister's constituency, Eluned Morgan out of the Senedd with nowhere to turn, apart from resigning his Welsh leader.
It is clear that results across the whole of the United Kingdom have demonstrated deep frustration with the Labour Party. We need to go back to being the party of the working class. We need the Labour government nationally to change course.
Enter the man poised to take her place after a campaign focused on health and the cost of living, rather than Plaid's ambition of independence.
Our nation deserves a government that will work with relentless determination to deliver on the things that matter most to you. We now focus on that task, and we do this for Wales. Dros Gymru. Diolch yn fawr.
Plaid cast this election as a two-horse race between it and Reform. As runner-up, it will now become the official opposition.
For decades, the Welsh valleys and cities such as Islwyn and Newport have been ignored, let down and forgotten by the old parties of Wales. Today, the people have spoken, and now in Reform, they finally have a voice.
It's hard to overstate just how historic these results are. After 27 years in government, over a century of winning every major election in Wales, Labour now finds itself out of power and out of favour with people who would have always voted for the party by default.
I don't think that the people 100% have left Labour, but I think Labour have left the people.
I used to always vote Labour. I haven't the last twice neither.
And this time?
I voted Reform.
While Plaid's popularity was helped by those who rejected Reform.
Well, I wanted to vote for Green, but unfortunately not really a tactical vote at the moment, so I voted for Plaid. I'm not even Welsh, but I do think Plaid will be better for Wales than Reform.
Some believe the era of two-party politics is over. In Wales, it's been reset in new colours. The new expanded Senedd will still host Labour, a handful of Conservatives, a Lib Dem and its first ever Green Party members after an election which has rocked Welsh politics to its foundations. Hywel Griffith, BBC News, Cardiff.
Well, we are still waiting for some final results to be declared in Scotland. Now, the BBC forecasts that the SNP will become the largest party in Holyrood once again, but without a parliamentary majority. At the moment, they have 57 seats, with Labour on 17, Reform on 15, the Greens on 13, Conservatives on 11 and the Liberal Democrats on 9. It is not yet clear which party will come second. Reform has secured its first seats there. Our Scotland editor James Cook now reports.
John Swinney and his wife Elizabeth heading into the count in Perth, confident that his Scottish National Party is heading back to government in Edinburgh. This is the 7th election since devolution in 1999, and the SNP have now won 5 of them in a row.
What is absolutely crystal clear is the SNP has won this election hands down. We are going to be the largest party by a significant and emphatic margin over any of our opponents. And I am deeply grateful to the people of Scotland for placing their trust in the Scottish National Party, and I promise to serve everyone in Scotland as First Minister.
And you're totally confident that you will be re-elected as First Minister when the Parliament behind you reconvenes, yes?
It's very clear that the SNP is in a commanding position in this election, and as a consequence of that, the public expectation will be for me to be returned as First Minister and to lead a government.
The Scottish Labour leader, Anas Sarwar, knows he could have been a contender for that job. It's just 2 years since his party swept the SNP aside in the general election. But that was then, and this is now.
This is clearly a disappointing result for us as a Scottish Labour Party. My party is hurting, we're disappointed, we advocated for change, we didn't win that argument, but it's my job to hold us together, and that's a job I intend to do, and we will continue to fight for the change we believe Scotland so desperately needs.
But this was not a wholesale endorsement of the SNP. Its vote share is down, and so is its total of seats.
Lorna Slater, Scottish Green Party, 12,000.
Best described what happened. She, of course, woke up this morning as the leader of the Welsh Labour Party, the First Minister of Wales. She ended tonight with no seat, having to resign, and describing what has happened to Labour as catastrophic.
That was Dan Whitehead in Llandudno on the North Wales coast for us. Let's get the story in Scotland now. Conor Gillis is in Edinburgh.
Yeah, good evening. 13 and a half hours in, and it feels like we are on the home stretch now. I'll get to the SNP in just a second, but at the moment it is A very, very close eyes on second place here. The race is hotting up. There are 7 seats left to declare here in Scotland, and the current position as of right now is Labour are in second place, Reform are in third, and there are just 2 seats between them. That could become the story of the next 24